welcome to episode 53. I am your host, Nikkei Lamodi, and today we are talking about how I was able to finally break free from being behind in the area of my finances as a late bloomer. Now, money is such a highlighted topic in a lot of people's lives right now for many different reasons, and so I'm so happy to be able to share just the process that I went through and navigating, getting from where I was in my finances to where I am now, and what helped me be able to do that as someone who has chronically felt like she's always been behind with her finances. So let's dive in. Now, I do want to say that what I'm sharing can be applicable to any area that you feel behind in, whether it is a career progression, your dating life, relationships with family, your health, like any area you are feeling behind in. And I know this because I've used the same process I'm going to share with you literally in other areas of my life as well. Okay, so I just want to put that out there. With my finances, I just always seemed to stay stuck in a paycheck to paycheck cycle. This just went on for not when I entered my first big girl job, but years and years and years and years after that. And I just didn't understand how it seemed like everyone else had their money stuff together, or maybe it was just the perception they had their money stuff together. So in 2024, I really spent the entire year diving deep into my own relationship with money with the help of an amazing money coach, Gina Knox. And it was less about me doing more and more about me going inward to really understand what my relationship was with money. And in doing that inward work, I was able to uncover that I just had a lot of shame when it came to my relationship with money, my perception of how I manage money, and healing from that. Man, like it was so freeing to be able to heal that wound and therefore heal my relationship with money, and how now I see money management, how I see debt is totally different than where I was a year ago. And as a late bloomer, I now have evidence that I manage money well, that I'm good with money. I have evidence not just in the habits and things that I've developed, but in the numbers, right? I know that I'm on track for a very comfortable retirement. And it feels so good to be able to say, I did it. Like I finally broke free from being behind financially. I just can't believe that this could have happened for me a lot sooner had I known the process and all the things that I do now. So here's how I was able to go from being ashamed of my debt with no idea how to pay it off to having a debt payoff date of December 2025 and feeling completely unbothered about finances. So in episode 52, I did a breakdown of 3 things you want to first do before you go to start taking action in an area of life that you feel behind in. So make sure you go back and listen to that. And so those I did answer and walk through before I got to these 2 questions. And so the 2 questions are, what was an area of my life that I felt behind in? Okay, obviously for this example, we're saying my finances, right? And the next question was, what do I desire for myself in this area? That was so clear to me. It's crazy. Like when you turn the noise of everybody else off and tune in and turn the volume up of what your voice is saying, it's actually quite clear. And I was like, oh, I want 6 months of emergency savings. I want to be debt free, and I want to be able to max out my investment accounts every year. So like my Roth IRA and my 401k, etc. I was like, oh yeah, okay, that's what I want. Well, how does it feel to be behind in the area of your finances? And when I used a tool that I use with my clients, which is the feelings wheel, you can type that into Google. You've heard me talk about it on the podcast if you've been a long-time listener several times before, but it's so helpful in being able to name feelings other than, happy, sad, angry, frustrated. But I felt worried and overwhelmed when it came to being behind in the area of my finances. And worry and overwhelm is rooted in fear. And naturally, my coaching brain was just like, oh, what are you afraid of then? And that's when I really was able to realize and discover that I had a fear of being alone, not married, which meant that there was going to be an inability for me to take care of myself when I was older financially, and a fear that I would lose my job at any point. Like I work in tech, and everyone knows tech is just a volatile industry right now in terms of job layoffs. And I just had this fear that, man, I'm going to lose my job and I'm not going to have a way to take care of myself. There are people who are being unemployed for 6 months, 12 months, 2 years. Like, I just had a lot of fear. So my worry and overwhelm came from that place. So this provided me a good jump off point of where do I go from here? Like, what are the next actionable steps that I need to take to get to what I desire in this area of my life that I feel behind in? And obviously, working with my money coach was so helpful in helping me make sure I was taking applicable action to my situation and not just like time wasting action or trying to distract myself, making it seem like I was being productive towards where I was trying to get to, but really it was just me kind of being hesitant and procrastinating. Because I had asked myself this question and tapped into like, okay, how did it feel to be behind? And that helped me uncover the real deeper root of what was going on. Now, fast forward, I have a clear debt payoff plan that I've created and I've been following on. My savings are growing every single month. I just want to encourage you that breaking free from being behind does not need to take years. And what I mean by that is you generating momentum in an area you feel behind in does not need to take years to happen, right? An object in motion stays in motion unless it's acted on by an outside force. So if you want to get the motion going in an area of your life that feels stuck, that feels stagnant, that doesn't need to take years to do that. Now, that continued generation of taking action to keep adding on to the momentum, you may be doing that for years. But you don't need years to break free from being stuck, because the actual steps, like the actual actions that I took, started in November of 2024. We are in January, and all of the things that I'm sharing with you went from November to December. That was months. Like, yes, I did the inner work all of 2024, but I didn't actually start taking action, like creating a debt payoff plan, doing the things on that plan until November. And I saw changes and I've been making progress in months, not years. My emergency savings is almost completed. I have a debt payoff plan based on the numbers that I have calculated. I was able to get a PRN job to add to increasing my income, which helped accelerate my debt payoff date. All of those actions happened in months. So I have now generated this momentum in an area I once felt very behind in chronically for decades, in months, and I will be doing these little actions for years to continue to get me to where I want to be, which is 6 months of an emergency savings, maxing out my investment accounts every year, and being able to be debt free. You're finally in a place you want to do something about being stuck, about being behind in an area of your life. First, make sure you go back and implement the things I talked about in episode 52. And then ask yourself the 2 questions that I share with you in this episode. What do I desire for myself in this area that I feel behind in? How does it feel for me to be behind in this area? And then use that information to get curious and get clear on not only what action you want to take, but why you want to take it. Everyone's journey is unique, which is why in one-on-one coaching, I provide you with a specific plan on how we're going to get you breaking free from being behind in an area of your life, whether it's your health, your finances, or relationships. And I provide several one-on-one options that fit not just your availability and your schedule, but also your budget. So if you're ready to break free from being behind in months instead of years, go ahead and book a free consultation call via the link in my show notes. And I can't wait to talk to you.